You're 12 years old, walking with your parents through the crowded streets of ancient Rome. Vendors shout over one another, carts roll by, and the air smells of breaking bread. It is by all counts an ordinary day, until a man who speaks fast and waves his arms stops your parents. Before you understand what's happening, he presses coins into their hands and takes hold of your arm. You're led away without being told where you're going. You pass by buildings you've never seen before until you reach a narrow doorway. Inside, the air is warm and heavy. The woman who greets you looks you over from head to toe, then tells you to wash. She then goes ahead to explain the rules in a flat voice. You do not leave the building without permission, you speak when you're spoken to, and you must always obey the keeper of the house or you will be punished. That night, you sleep in a small room with a straw mat and a thin blanket. You can hear footsteps in the hall and voices through the walls. The world you knew has already begun to fade, replaced by this place that smells of perfume, wine, and sweat. You're told that tomorrow will be the start of your training. You're 14. 2 years have passed since the auction, and you've come to know exactly where you ended up, in one of Rome's many lupinaria, brothels that operate behind plain wooden doors on narrow streets. The outside is nothing special, but inside, the smell of oil lamps, wine, and sweat fills every corner. The walls are painted with faded scenes meant to attract customers, and the floor is always sticky from spilled drink. Your work here is not something you chose, and from your first day, you were put to cleaning rooms, serving jugs of watered-down wine, and lighting these small clay lamps in each cubicle. The beds are simple. Thin straw mattresses on stone or wooden frames with a single blanket that's rarely washed. You hear laughter, moans, arguments, and sometimes crying from behind the thin walls. At night, the sound of footsteps never stops. By now, you know the rules. You're told when to eat, when to sleep, and when to work. Coins are handed to the owner, but never to you. You're given food and a pallet in the corner of the storeroom. Other slaves at the brothel avoid speaking about their past. Too many memories, too much pain. But you share glances that say enough. You've learned to keep your eyes lowered and your mouth shut, because anyone who argues risks a bloody beating. You have not yet been chosen for the work the others do with customers, but you can feel that day is coming. The owner has begun calling you to stand in the main room during busy hours, letting men see your face, hear your voice, and watch you pour their wine. It's only a matter of time before he calls you for more. You're 17, and by now you've developed instincts sharp enough to read a man before he speaks. The shuffle of his steps, the way he holds his head, even the smell of his clothes tells you whether the next moments will be easy or dangerous. You've learned to keep your face still, your tone neutral, and your movements precise. The wrong word or glance can turn an ordinary encounter into something far worse. The work remains the same, but you've found small ways to shield yourself. You trade favors with other girls. Someone takes a customer you fear, and you return the kindness later. You learn how to fake illness when exhaustion makes your body feel like it'll collapse. You pick up bits of conversation from passing traders and visiting soldiers, piecing together news from the outside world. You also start noticing cracks in the brothel's walls, figurative ones. There are days when the guards are distracted, when the owner is drunk, or when deliveries arrive late and the gates stay open longer. You tell yourself it's foolish to think of escape, but the thought refuses to die. There are still moments that remind you of what you've lost. A traveler hums a song you used to hear in the village. A passing boy laughs in a way that makes you remember your brother. These moments are sharp, like glass underfoot, cutting through the numbness you've built to survive. At age 20, the days blur together, yet your mind still counts them, as if keeping track will one day matter. By now, you're no longer a new face. Some of the younger girls look to you for advice, and you pass on the same small survival tricks you once learned the hard way. One night, something shifts. A customer arrives who's not like the others. He's quieter, more careful in the way he speaks, as though watching for every reaction. You notice his clothes are travel-worn but expensive. He asks questions that seem harmless, but you can tell he's listening for more than your answers. When the guards are distracted, he slips you a coin that is heavier than any you've ever touched. His voice is low as he tells you to keep it hidden. and then walks out without another word. The weeks that follow make you restless because you begin noticing more of the gaps in the brothel's routine. The guards change shifts late, deliveries sometimes go unchecked, and the owner grows careless when drinking. You start to imagine what you could do if you were bold enough to take the chance. You also know that there are risks, big ones. You've seen what happens to those who are caught trying to leave. The punishment is meant to break more than the body. And yet, something inside you is no longer satisfied with simply surviving. The thought of freedom is no longer a quiet dream in the back of your mind. It has become a steady drumbeat, urging you toward a choice that could either save your life or end it. You're now 22, and the years have worn you into someone harder, but also sharper. You know the rhythms of the place better than anyone else. When the doors are locked, when the guards are distracted, which windows are never fully latched. You've been patient, storing away tiny observations like they might one day be keys. One rainy night, the moment finally comes. The guard slumps asleep in his chair, the sound of rain masking every creak of the floorboards. You slip from your room, your bare feet finding the quietest parts of the hallway. The coin the stranger gave you years ago is still hidden in the hem of your dress, a reminder that another life could exist beyond these walls. You reach the service door at the back. For a moment, you stand frozen, hand on the latch, your heart pounding against your ribs. You can almost smell the outside, wet earth, fresh air, and freedom. You push it open, step into the alley, and start to run. The night is black, the rain cold on your skin, but the air feels clean in your lungs. You make it halfway to the street before you hear the shouts, with heavy boots pounding against the ground. A hand grabs your arm with a force that tears the skin. You fight, nails clawing at the air, but more hands are on you now. You're dragged back inside, the door slamming shut behind you. You know before they even speak that there will be no second chance. They keep you locked in a windowless storage room for 2 days after the failed escape. No bed, no food, only a bucket in the corner and the smell of damp wood pressing in on you. Every knock on the door feels like the one that'll open to something worse. On the 3rd day, they bring you out. The room is beyond dim, lit only by a single swinging bulb. The matron sits in a chair, her hands folded, eyes empty of anything human. With 2 guards standing beside her, they do not yell nor do they threaten. They simply tell you that what you did has consequences, and that the house cannot afford to appear weak. Then they take you to the basement, where the air is cold and wet. Metal chains hang from the ceiling, the floor stained with things you don't want to name. They tie your wrists above your head and leave you there, the sound of dripping water marking the hours. When the first blow lands, you're ready for the pain, but not for the way it steals the breath from your lungs. By the time they're done, your back is raw and your voice gone. You're carried upstairs like a broken piece of furniture and left in your room without bandages and without water. Every breath feels like it might be your last, but you live, at least for now. You're 23. But you have not been truly alive since that night of punishment a year ago. The beatings, the cold floor, the long hours left without food or water. Your body never fully healed. The pain in your ribs comes and goes, but the weakness never leaves. The brothel does not care. Even when you cough until you taste blood, they send you out to meet men. The makeup hides the shadows under your eyes, and the perfume covers the sour smell of sickness, but it cannot hide the truth. Every touch burns. Every night feels longer than the last. Then the fever comes. At first they think you're pretending to avoid work, so they make you stand by the door and take customers. But soon, you can barely walk, collapsing between encounters. Still, they drag you back to the rooms. Still, the men come. Still, you are used. By the 2nd week, you're too weak to stand. They leave you in a corner bed, where the laughter and the music from the hall reach you like echoes from another world. No one cleans the sweat from your skin. No one brings you medicine. One night, the fever takes your breath, and by morning, you are gone. Your body is carried away in silence, and by evening, your place is filled by another girl. The world outside never knew you existed, while the house keeps moving. Music plays, men laugh, and the lights never go out.